Hey everyone, welcome to the channel and another review. Here today we are going to talk about the new movie Men, which came out this last weekend. I just got back from seeing it at the theater, so let's dive in. And to begin, we'll just go over a brief synopsis. So in this movie, a young woman goes on a solo vacation to the English countryside following the death of her ex-husband. So my anticipation going into this film wasn't very high. I'm not big on horror. It looked like it might be decent enough from the trailers that I'd seen, and it was at 75% on Rotten Tomatoes, so I was kind of hopeful going into it, but again, I still have my reservations about horror films. So with that, let's get into what I thought about the film. So first up, the things that I did like about the film were the acting. I thought both of the main actors, or the actor and actress, both did a good job of their roles. And yeah, I think that was definitely one of the strengths of the movie. And the other really big strength, in my opinion, was the cinematography, especially in like the first, I'd say, third of the film. There's some really gorgeous shots of nature and that sort of thing, where it's filmed in this very like natural light sort of lens, or color grade, and there's just some really beautiful shots. I mean, sometimes it just lingers on a shot from nature, and part of me is like what purpose does this have for the story, which I would argue probably not much, but it was still really nice to see on film. And then the last thing that I enjoyed was just kind of like the premise, or at least how things started off, some of the subject matter, especially with, surrounding the death of her husband. Maybe minor spoilers here, but this is all like first third of the movie stuff, so I don't think it really impacts. It's part of the setup of the story. So the learning that her husband committed suicide, and that it was in response to her wanting to get a divorce, and kind of what that, like, the psychological toll that would take on somebody, I thought was a really interesting, yeah, I thought it was an interesting thread to explore. And so that part I really liked in the film. Now, the things that I didn't really care for as much is definitely the horror. And in this movie, there's definitely some very disturbing images, and in the later half of the film, in particular. So those are certainly not up my alley. They make the film significantly less enjoyable. It's just not my type of thing. And then the other thing I didn't really care for was they don't really resolve things. At least I didn't think they did. Maybe they hint at things and it's kind of left up for interpretation, but I felt that, yeah, it was up for interpretation and they didn't give me much to go off of, so I didn't really understand the film coming out of it. I think I understood like the first half, but the second half don't really know what was going on. They, in my opinion, did not give an explanation. And those are things that yeah, I don't appreciate in a movie when they don't give you enough to get the answers. So, like, that doesn't mean to say that every movie has to spell it out for you, but it at least has to allow you to kind of put the pieces together. And again, maybe they do in this movie and I just wasn't able to put them together, but from my personal point of view, I wasn't able to put them together, so it was significantly less enjoyable. So those are kind of the main things. I thought the music was fitting for the film, but very, very eerie and not the sort of music that I like. But again, it fits it, like that's the sort of music you want in a horror film to kind of achieve that effect. But yeah, with that, I think that kind of sums up my thoughts on the film. It was overall, I didn't care for this film. I would give it a letter grade of a D for my personal enjoyment. This was one of my least favorite films of the year, mainly because it started off fine and interesting enough, but this whole second half of the film was not enjoyable for me to watch, given that it no longer kept my interest, and the horror elements just kind of took over, which, yeah, outweighed the anything that might have been there that would have been enjoyable, to make it just very unenjoyable for me personally. Now, if those are your sort of things, then it's probably higher than a D. It's maybe a B for a horror movie. at least the type of one that it's going for. But again, this at the end of the day, this is definitely a horror film that, in my opinion, didn't really bring much to the table for me to enjoy as far as, interesting story or characters or that sort of thing. It had the pieces, but by the end, it just kind of fell apart. But that said, if it looks like it's your type of movie, it may very well be. I think it's the sort of movie where you know what you're getting if you're going in. So if horror's your thing, probably go check it out. But if it's not, like it isn't for me, I can't say that I'd recommend it. But yeah, with that, if you did see it, I'd love to hear your thoughts down below, especially if you enjoyed it. What parts of it in particular did you enjoy? Was it fresh to you as a horror film? I'm still relatively new to the horror genre, so most things feel at least fresh, even if I don't necessarily enjoy them. So, but yeah, love to hear your thoughts down below. Otherwise, if you've enjoyed this review, be sure to smash the like button and consider subscribing so you don't miss out on any of my upcoming reviews. But with that, thanks for watching, and we'll catch you in the next video.